$50,000. That's what they paid her, to stop talking. But she didn't stop. She never stopped. For 18 years straight, every single year, like clockwork. She logged on to her old boss's website, wrote down every email address, every phone number, and subscribed them all to the worst corners of the internet. Insurance spam, fake college recruiters, marketing lists that follow you like a curse. Thousands of emails flooding every inbox in the building within seconds. But to understand why a woman would dedicate 18 years of her life to this, you need to go back to the night before her surgery, when her boss called to tell her they'd canceled her health insurance. She was a closer, the kind of salesperson who doesn't just hit targets. She makes them look small. A CEO she'd worked with before headhunted her. His new tech company hadn't made a single sale in 2 years. 2 full years of nothing. The tech team had been trying to sell to executives, and if you've ever watched an engineer pitch a C-suite, you already know how that went. She was the bridge. She could take the most complex technical product and translate it into a conversation that made buyers lean forward instead of checking their phones. There was one catch. The office was 90 minutes from her house, 3 hours round trip, every single day. But the CEO made her a deal: work from home, keep the sales tool updated, show up for the important meetings, and deliver. So for the first month, she made the commute anyway. Not because she had to, but because she needed to understand the product inside out, meet every department head, build trust face to face, before she launched her strategy. Then she hit the road, 19 days, crisscrossing a target state, knocking on doors, sitting in conference rooms, translating tech speak into dollar signs. When she came back, she had 17 contracts, $2 million in new revenue, for a company that hadn't earned a cent in 2 years. The CEO was overjoyed, and for 6 months, everything worked. Sales were strong, reports were flowing, the engine was running. But there was someone else in the building now, someone who'd been hired 4 days before she started selling, a VP of sales. Let's call her what she was: Bitch Boss. Bitch Boss came from banking. She'd spent her career selling financial products, and she'd been brought in because she knew how to land investors, not because she understood tech. From day one, something was off. She knew nothing about the product and expected everyone else to stop what they were doing to teach her. The salesperson who was actually closing deals had to pause her own strategy to orient a VP who couldn't tell a server from a spreadsheet. But here's where the first crack appeared. Bitch Boss landed an investor. $6 million on the table. Discovery meeting scheduled. The investor specifically wanted to meet the person making the sales. Seconds before walking into the room, Bitch Boss pulled her aside and asked her to lie. She doubled the sales numbers on the prospectus, told the investor the company was doing twice as well as it actually was, and now she needed the closer to confirm the fake numbers, face to face, in real time. The CEO approved it, she said. Think about that for a second. You're about to walk into a room with a $6 million investor. Your boss is telling you to commit fraud and claiming the CEO signed off on it. What do? She said no. They walked in. The investor was reviewing the documents, reading the inflated sales figures, and then he looked up and asked directly, "How many sales are you making a month?" Behind him, Bitch Boss was waving her arms, mouthing words, trying to signal the lie. She answered truthfully. Dead silence. The investor looked down at the document, then back up. The number didn't match. But fate handed her an out. The first 2 digits of the real number were the reverse of the fake one. She pointed it out calmly, explained it as a transposition error. The investor bought it, and the meeting continued. She'd just saved Bitch Boss's deal, saved the company from a fraud scandal, and Bitch Boss would remember that moment, not with gratitude, but with rage. A week later, she was in the CIO's office, and he made a comment about her body. She wasn't the type to crumble. She'd been in corporate America long enough to know how to handle herself, but it caught her off guard because it was so blunt, so casual, like he didn't even think twice. That night, she told her best friend about it over the phone, just venting, the way you do. And her best friend, who happened to be a lawyer, said something simple. Tell the CEO. Any good CEO would want to know. So she did. She went to Bitch Boss first. Proper protocol. No HR department yet. Then she called the CEO. Told him it wasn't a big deal. Just make sure it doesn't happen again. He said he'd handle it. But 2 days later, he still hadn't. Investors were in town, and he was distracted. So she followed up, gently, and mentioned that her friend the lawyer had been the one who suggested she report it. That word, lawyer, it was like pulling a pin on a grenade. The CEO lost his mind. She tried to explain. She wasn't threatening anything. Her friend was a criminal defense attorney, not even the right kind of lawyer. She'd been chatting casually, not building a case. He didn't hear any of it. The next day, a corporate attorney called her. The company had hired outside counsel for her sexual harassment claim. She didn't have a claim. She'd never filed anything. She'd just told her boss, like you're supposed to. But the machine was already moving. The CEO blamed her for creating drama while investors were watching. That anger became the company's official position, and it filtered down like poison. Bitch Boss saw her opportunity, and she took it. The retaliation started slow, forgetting to mention important meetings, freezing her out of conversations, telling her she couldn't speak to the CIO anymore, even though he was technically her other boss, and she needed his input to sell the product. Then it got personal. A vacation she'd planned and gotten approved months earlier, denied. Her work-from-home arrangement, the one written into her employment contract, revoked. Bitch Boss wanted her making that 3-hour commute every single day. And the worst part, she couldn't leave. She was sick, seriously sick, a health condition that needed surgery, complex enough to require 3 surgeons in the room at the same time. She needed the insurance. There was no way to find another job, get enrolled in a new plan, and keep her surgery date. The math didn't work, so she stayed. Her doctor gave her a note, medical documentation that she could work from home, which was already in her contract anyway. They legally couldn't force the commute. But Bitch Boss didn't care about legal. The night before her surgery, her phone rang. It was Bitch Boss, calling to deliver one sentence. "We've canceled your health insurance." She collapsed, right there on the floor, not from the illness, though she was already broken from that, but from the sheer cruelty of the timing. The night before, 3 surgeons were supposed to operate on her, and her boss called to say, "Good luck paying for it yourself." But here's what Bitch Boss didn't know. The next morning, the CEO called, frantic. He'd told the company's lawyer what they'd done, and the lawyer tore him apart. Because canceling an employee's insurance while they're on medical leave isn't just wrong, it's illegal. They reinstated the insurance immediately, but the damage was done. While she recovered for 2 weeks, Her mother found her a lawyer, a real one this time, an employment attorney who took one look at the case and said, "This is textbook retaliation, and you're going to win." Now, here's the part where most people would quit, file the lawsuit, and move on. But her lawyer told her something she didn't expect. She had to go back to work, to build the strongest possible case. She needed to stay employed, keep documenting, and let them keep digging their own grave. So she went back, or tried to. The company had moved offices while she was in surgery, and Bitch Boss refused to tell her the new address. The company's own lawyer had to force them to give her directions, and even then, Bitch Boss gave her the wrong ones, making her late on her first day back. She walked into the new office, and there it was, a single desk, wide open, right in front of the CEO's glass office. No walls, no privacy, just a desk in the middle of a fishbowl, where everyone could watch her do absolutely nothing, because that was her new job. Nothing. No sales, no calls, no meetings, no assignments. She wasn't allowed to do anything. They'd also hired new people while she was gone, and Bitch Boss had already poisoned them, told them lies, warned them to stay away from her if they knew what was good for them. So she sat, alone, at her island desk, in front of the CEO's window, and she did the only thing she could. She opened her notebook, and she started writing. Every interaction, every slight, every screaming match Bitch Boss dragged her into, she documented it all. Times, dates, exact words. Her lawyer had told her to be meticulous, and she was. Bitch Boss hated that notebook. She could see it from across the room. She knew exactly what was being written in it, but it was personal property. She couldn't take it. So she tried something else. She went through her desk drawer and into her purse. After catching Bitch Boss going through her personal belongings, she started carrying everything with her, everywhere. Meetings, bathroom, lunch. Her backpack never left her side, but she couldn't resist a small act of defiance. She left a note inside her backpack that read 2 words, and rigged it so she'd know if anyone opened it. Bitch Boss opened it. The write-ups started coming, not for anything real, for not answering her phone on the first ring, for asking questions during company meetings, for requesting to see her own personnel file, which employees are legally entitled to do. Every write-up had a space for her response, and every time, she wrote the same thing. "I do not agree with this assessment." That sentence drove Bitch Boss insane. So insane, she wrote her up again for writing that she disagreed. And then the screaming started. Bitch Boss would call her into her office and just erupt. Inches from her face, beet red, veins bulging, and she just sat there, calm, almost dreamy, giving one-word answers. Okay, that's all she'd say. Okay, and then she'd walk back to her desk, open her notebook, and document every word. But there was one more thing Bitch Boss didn't know. Every time she got written up, she had to take the document to the CEO's office to file it. And on the way there, she stopped at the copy machine. Every single time. She had copies of everything, every write-up, every bogus allegation, with the original dates clearly printed. Bitch Boss never noticed. Finally, her lawyer had enough evidence. She resigned with a single sentence. "I resign immediately," handed it to the HR guy, watched his mouth fall open, smiled sweetly, said bye-bye, and drove home. 1 month later, They were all sitting in the EEOC office. Her lawyer presented the case. 40 minutes of evidence, laid out logically, methodically. Every instance of retaliation documented with dates and details. Then, Bitch Boss presented her side. She pulled out the write-ups, the stack of formal complaints she'd manufactured, and, with a smug, self-satisfied smile, told the EEOC that all of these issues had been documented before the harassment report. She was lying. She'd blanked out the original dates, made new copies, and backdated every single one. The EEOC official looked at the documents, then looked at the lawyer. The lawyer looked at his client, and she reached into her folder and pulled out the originals, the copies she'd made at the machine, on her way to the CEO's office, with the real dates, clearly printed on every single page. You could have heard a pin drop. The EEOC official set the papers down slowly, and when she finally spoke, she said something that still echoes to this day. I've seen a lot of ill treatment and illegal undertakings by both employees and employers, including forged or altered documents, but I have never seen someone so incredibly stupid to present documents this easily disproved. She went on. Not only are employees entitled to receive and keep copies of formal write-ups, but reading these ridiculous allegations, it's obvious you were trying to manufacture your case. Clear grounds for a lawsuit, and she would win. She recommended Bitch Boss and the CEO go to another room and figure out a number big enough to make this go away, because if it went to court, they were finished. Through the wall, she could hear the company's own lawyer dressing them down. Words like, lied to me, lied to EEOC, presenting false documents, broke so many laws. They came back with $50,000. She took it, and in the parking lot, her and her lawyer did a touchdown dance, looking up at the EEOC window. She could see Bitch Boss standing there, crying. She'd just been fired. That was year one. Now, most people would take the check, take the victory lap, and move on with their lives. She is not most people. She kept tabs on Bitch Boss, watched her open a new company, a finance marketing firm, and she waited 1 full year, letting the dust settle, letting Bitch Boss get comfortable. Then she went to work. Every year, same ritual. She goes to Bitch Boss's company website, writes down every email address, every phone number for every employee, and subscribes them all to the most aggressive marketing machines on the internet. Online schools that call 12 times a day. Insurance companies that never delete your information. Lead generation services that sell your contact data to 100 other vendors. And in recent years, she upgraded email bomb services, the kind that take a single address and instantly subscribe it to thousands of newsletters, request forms, and marketing databases. She tested it first with a burner email, thousands of emails, within seconds, and they never stop. The address becomes unsalvageable. You have to shut it down entirely and start over. Every year, she hits the button. Every year, every email in that company gets destroyed. Every year, the IT team has to rebuild from scratch. Last year, her cousin took a job in the same building as Bitch Boss's company. She asked her to befriend the receptionist, just casually, just enough to get the inside story. After executing her annual strike, her cousin took the receptionist to lunch. The receptionist was furious. The entire office was in chaos again. It was rebuilding all the emails, again. For the 100th time, it seemed. It keeps happening over and over, and nobody can figure out why. The owner, bitch boss herself, had to change her personal cell phone number 3 times because sometimes she'd list it on the website and it would get hit too. But the best part, the detail that made it all worth it. Bitch boss lost a major client because the client felt the company was in too much turmoil, too often, too chaotic to trust with their business. 18 years of quiet, methodical, untraceable destruction. And the investor, the $6 million one she'd saved with the transposition trick. He pulled out. Once the closer left, the company couldn't duplicate her sales numbers. The investor got nervous and walked. The company eventually found success years later, but without the CEO and without bitch boss, it took them much longer because of this entire fiasco. Here's what stays with me about this story. She could have quit the moment bitch boss made her life hell. She could have screamed back, or cried, or given them a reason, any reason, to say she was the problem. Instead, she sat at her island desk in front of the CEO's glass office with nothing to do, and she documented. She turned their cruelty into evidence, their arrogance into a trap. And when bitch boss walked into that EEOC hearing with her doctored documents and her smug smile, she had no idea. She was walking into a room where every lie had already been photocopied. Documentation isn't boring. It's a weapon, the quietest, most devastating weapon in any workplace war. And sometimes, the revenge doesn't end when the check clears. Sometimes it follows you, year after year, like a curse you can't trace, emails you can't stop, clients you can't keep, because the person you destroyed remembers your website address by heart. Speaking of bosses who made the worst mistake of their careers, there's a story we covered about a woman whose company abandoned her, and she methodically took apart everything they'd built, using nothing but patience and paperwork. That one's on screen right now, and the ending might be even more satisfying than this one.